Okay, so once you have your prep done, which entails all your wallboard and your mudding and taping if you choose to tape, I generally as a rule don't tape unless there's a big reason for it, meaning that there's a huge gap or something going on, that or if I'm doing a niche, I'll usually tape in the niche. With Redgard, the way you waterproof with Redgard, it's like a liquid rubber. In fact, this is all very old. I peeled up a huge thick piece of this last summer because it had years and years of buildup, and it's just one big giant piece of rubber. So the rubber doesn't move. Even if this building shifts or the wall shift or whatever and there ends up some type of crack in the corner, because you have rubber over it, the rubber gives, and so there'll be no cracking going on. I see a lot of people tape all the time with that little mesh tape, and you could do it, but honestly it doesn't do you any good. It's irrelevant, and it's actually a little harder to apply the Redgard with that mesh tape because you need a lot to cover up all those little squares that are in the mesh tape. Plus it doesn't give you a perfect corner. Even when you push it in, it usually tends to kind of pop out a little bit, so you're ending up using a lot of more Redgard in the corners than if you just go without the tape altogether. So anyway, you're going to need some type of pan, a roller, and a brush, and that's all there is to it. I wear gloves. There's no reason for it. This isn't toxic. In fact, it's water soluble, but I just don't like all that red. I get red on the pants from previous jobs and stuff, and although it does come off, it's just easier to wear the gloves. So I know my tile is going to go up to about that level, which is about where the shower head is at. I'm going to go just above the shower head with my tile, and that's where I'm going to start the Redgard. When I'm doing a shower, specifically a shower, not a tub enclosure, I'm usually taking the tile to the ceiling, and then I'll go almost to the ceiling. There's no real reason to, because water never hits that far, but a gallon takes you a long ways, so there's no reason not to. Anyway, I do the corners first with the brush. I usually put 2 to 3 coats in the corner because that's where, if you have any problems, corners are always where the problems will be. So I always do the corner first. If you wanted to, you could put some of that blue painter's tape or something on the edge of the tub, but again, this is rubber and it's also water soluble. If I ever slop some on the tub like that, instead of cleaning it up, unless I can clean it up right away with a wet sponge, I'll let it dry, because once it dries in a couple of hours, you'll be able to peel it up like a piece of rubber. A little easier to do the cleanup that way than it is to get a sponge and slop it around, make a bigger mess. Actually, make a bigger mess with the sponge. So anyway, there's really nothing to this. Redgard is a brand name. There's other liquid waterproofers out there. This goes on pink, and it's going to dry dark red. That's how you'll know when it's dry. So I think Lowe's sells a product. I don't know the name of it. I believe it goes on green and dries blue, or vice versa. I'm not really sure. I used it one time, many years ago. So as you can see, I get a really thick coat on the first one in the corners, and by the time I do my second coat, I'll do it just as thick. As I said, with 1 gallon on a normal shower, I usually go through almost a full gallon. When I'm doing a tub surround like I am now, I'm lucky if I can use up half a gallon. So I put it on pretty thick and heavy, just because I can, because I have so much more of it than I normally would have. So that's a good thick coat to start with. Then we go to our roller. You want to get a roller that's not as thick as this one. I don't know why I bought this one. They got kind of thin rollers out there. That way you're not absorbing, you're not wasting excess Redgard. So as you can tell, I'm going right where I think my towel is going to stop. And if you happen to go over, that's fine too. You can paint over this stuff. They say in the tile business that tile is kind of like wallpaper. What I mean by that is that it is only for looks and it doesn't have a purpose for keeping water out, which I disagree with. And then as an adjunct to that statement, your shower should be waterproof before you put any tile on it. I do agree with that, but I don't agree with the other statement. I believe tile plays an important role in keeping water out, and I also believe that the grout does as well. If the grout is properly put in and sealed, then both the tile and the grout have a huge role in keeping water out of the walls and the floor. Having said that, if I did nothing after I do this, that you could take a shower in it and never have an issue. So let me repeat that again. Once I finish these 3 walls with 2 coats of the Redgard, you could take a shower in this tub enclosure for years and years and years and years, and water will never ever penetrate through these walls. And obviously you have a tub, so water can't get through there. It will be a waterproof shower before any tile goes on it at all. So what you can't get with the roller, you come back with the brush. These mud guards that are on these fixtures are specifically for this purpose, so that you can slop around debris and stuff like that and not affect the shower valve inside. Brushes are also good around these holes because you can't get the roller in there, obviously. And if you slop it around on the edge of the tub, that's no big deal because tile will overlap that anyway, so it really doesn't matter. And this is always a place where the water likes to leak, so I always put a pretty decent coat around here. And I might go above it a little bit too. Okay, the second coat of Redgard has been applied. It's a pretty decent coat too. I was able to actually do about 3 coats in the corners, both corners, and around where the water is going to be, about 3 coats there, and then 2 coats on the rest of the walls. And then of course down here, this is, I see a lot of damage just outside, even though tile is going to go up to that baseboard and overlap this. I see a lot of damage on these walls, so that's why I do that. This little blotch I spilled on here a while ago, you'll see how easy this is to get up. I mean, literally, it's just that easy. Peels right up. So don't worry about making a mess with this stuff. Just a little piece of rubber now. And that's the other blotch that I did a little while ago. So anyway, like I said, if you overlap onto the tub lip, it's not that big of a deal. Tile is going to overlap over that anyway. So that's it. I'm going to put a fan on this entire thing and let it dry. And then I will start my tiling process. So that's basically how you, oh, as I was saying before, at this point, once this cures for a couple of hours, you don't need any tile in here. You could literally take a shower in here forever and not worry about any of this wallboard getting wet. So that's kind of the point that I was making earlier. But of course tile looks better. But I still disagree. I think tile and proper grout still keeps water from getting back behind to the wallboard. But even if it does, this is your insurance policy.